Tales from my D&D campaign.
Previously, a bounty was placed upon the party, 10,000 gold for the head of the Orc Slayer, and 5,000 for the rest. And with Angel AFK, they were defeated by the magnificent Daggerface.
And us, we're a team.
Team Daggerface.
I'm Daggerface!
But when his wizard learned the bounty had been illegally cancelled, Warforged Daggerface released them, and fled, after telling them who wanted them dead so badly. Also, winter is coming. The party, all beaten and bruised, I'm not, and down 1,100 gold, they make their way back to Bankton to rest up quickly, and the next day they head down south to find the town of Hengal. It's a town in southern Laric, a week's ride from Bankton, and itself only 2 days' ride from the border of the Diluvian-controlled peace bond. Warforged Daggerface claimed that was where they would find Matthew Patel, heir to a wealthy shipbuilding dynasty, the man who had put the 15k bounty on their heads for killing his dumbass son Jimmy. It happens Hengal was also home to one of the Warbond factions described by their contact, Corindal, as weird.
We so need to catch that fake Daggerface. Actually, if anything, that Warforged Dick was the original Daggerface.
I'm Daggerface!
But you swore you wouldn't kill him. Also, he did kind of show us mercy.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a murderer.
So you'd break your oath?
No, I wouldn't. But I didn't swear that you guys wouldn't track him down. I didn't say anything about capturing him and turning him over to the authorities for being a murderer, and I go where you go.
I suppose that is true.
I know we're going after this other guy first, but someday I'm going to see that killer hanged, or whatever they do to Warforged.
When they reach Hengal, the entrance is marked by a pair of those carved log pillars. Small town, not very wealthy, a few people out in the streets, but only ones who have a reason to go out in the cold, like children sweeping the snow off the rooftops while a parent, usually the mother, holds the ladder.
Excuse me, could you tell us where Matthew Patel lives?
And 3 men emerge from a nearby house, 2 of which are trying to look intimidating and failing horribly against PCs who have battled orcs, trolls, and worse. One of the big guys is like, "Who are you?" But the smaller one just asks, "Why do you want to see Matthew Patel?" "We have some business to discuss with him."
Some of our Warbond contacts pointed us this way.
But the man says, "I think you should leave this place. Go from here, and do not come back." The thugs made no move to stop them when they declined this advice, but as our heroes begin moving through the town's several streets, they notice that even a minute later, there were no villagers around. Nobody out in the streets anymore. They were looking for a guy who dropped 15,000 gold on a bounty, and with only a few 2-story houses in town, it didn't take too long to find one at the end of a lane with a brass plate that said, Patel.
They're obviously setting up for an ambush. We could just burn it down. Force them out.
We don't know for sure that it's the right house.
How many Patels do you think there are?
In a rural town in Laric? How many Smiths do you think there are in Vistria?
Yeah, we probably shouldn't burn it down.
If they want to fight, let's fight.
Can we talk first?
Of course. Then probably fight.
Angel picks the lock like it was nothing, so they enter to find a cold, dark house. No fire in the fireplace. In the second room was an elderly man, late 50s, early 60s, slumped in a plush chair. Are you saying he's dead? Yeah, he's dead. He's not warm, but also not decayed, and there are no obvious signs of injury or illness.
Do I smell anything?
The party had leveled again recently, what with all the assassins and such, and Angel took a level in Sword Sage, and through meditation, training, and focus, she gained the scent ability as a martial arts stance. He's hardly even beginning to rot, so although it is cold and dry in here, he can't have been dead more than a few days. But Angel's scent ability did find a small amount of rotten flesh, a little piece in the center of a stain on the carpet, a dozen feet from the body.
Okay.
Well, where did it come from? There must be a blood trail or something. There's no sign of any trail. Even with her hunter's sense, Angel can't find so much as a drop of blood, except for the stain right under the tissue.
Well, then where did it come from? Him?
I guess we have to strip him down and check.
But Angel's animal quality sense of smell can't be certain whether the badly rotted tissue comes from him or not, and they find no exit wound, not even a small cut on the old man's body.
As much as I want justice over this, I wasn't interested in killing the old man if he was defenseless. But now, somebody robbed us of our revenge? Like, what are we even doing here if he's dead?
You think this could be a setup? Somebody's framing us for killing him?
Then they must be coming to get us. We should prepare for an attack.
And they prepare, but nothing happens for 5, then 10 minutes.
This is stupid. We're just standing around.
Do we just leave?
I'll cast Augury.
Okay, what question are you asking your god? After some group deliberation, Black calls upon the wisdom of Sirius, asking what will happen if they stay here. The spell gives information about a given course of action, but only for about half an hour, and the only results it gives are either weal, good results, woe, bad results, both, or neither. In this case, the answer is woe.
So the enemies will come to us? Bring it.
I'm not sure that's what it means.
I'd rather be ready and force them to come fight us here in this enclosed space. They won't be able to surround us.
I guess.
In here, out there, either way.
So they wait, and 20 minutes pass while nothing happens. Then Angel smells something burning.
Hey, remember that plan to burn it down, force them out?
Shit. And they rush out of the burning house, expecting to find themselves surrounded or something. Instead, they come out into the empty street, noticing only the thugs from before, across the street, one carrying a lit torch. And the smaller guy is like, I warned you to leave this place. Now, no one can help you. Then a voice came from the rooftop across the street.
All he had to do was keep his mouth shut. But no!
He just couldn't let it go that somebody killed his pathetic human son.
And they see this large, almost humanoid man made of goo and a bipedal ant-man.
It's so long since we've been allowed to kill anyone.
Isn't that voice the insect guy? No, the high screechy voice is the heavy-set goo man. The ant-man has the deep voice.
I hope you don't just scream and run away like all the others.
Is he actually taunting us? We are so going to kill them.
They are going down.
They've practically admitted to murder. Also, they're monsters.
Yeah.
Yes, the goo man forms a whole bunch of spikes which instantly harden and fires them, making like 6 ranged attacks at Little One and Draven. And the Ant-Man casts and starts concentrating on a spell-like ability which fires dozens of beams all around Angel and Black. It actually looks like the beams have all missed, when at the last possible moment they all make sharp-angled turns in midair, striking directly at their targets.
Holy crap.
What the hell?
Gah! Evasion.
The beams were actually reflex for half, and with evasion from her rogue levels, Angel was able to completely avoid them despite their terminal attack maneuvers. It was actually a version of a spell called Many Jaws, but my description is cooler.
Yeah, I don't dodge as much.
And Draven casts a group buff, and Angel runs right up the wall to lay some beats on Ant-Man because she bought slippers of spider climbing in Bankton. Little One doesn't have a reliable method of vertical mobility, so he runs over to use the ladder set up by another house. And they get showered with more spikes and lasers, and Angel hits Ant-Man, breaking his concentration, and he's like,
Don't just stand there. It's time to get in on the action.
And the 2 thugs lurking by an alley suddenly hulk out, and it looks kind of painful. And the little guy is like,
No, I wasn't supposed...
And he doesn't Hulk out so much as Gumby out.
You wanted power. Power to defeat your enemies. That's what he gave you.
And each of them seems to lose his mind in the transformation, although the tall one uses some strategy, like spring attack, and has crazy stretchy reach. And Black starts beating them down, trying to keep them off Draven until the Artificer gets a chance to fly up off the ground. And Little One jumps across to the right rooftop and bone crushes Goo Man for his already sizable damage plus 46. But it does much less than usual because Goo Man has some bullshit power that he takes -2 damage per die from attacks. And Ant-Man recasts his assault spell again, but this time he focuses the whole 10d6 on Little One because it really doesn't work very well on the creepy gnome ninja.
Ow. You should try dodging. That sounds like a plan.
And he flies across the street before unleashing another storm of ranged spike attacks.
He has freaking wings made of goo?
What the actual hell? Actually, stat-wise, Goo Man is just a Wyvern, with his challenge rating increased to compensate for his special goo defense. But Draven blasts him with his wand of Searing Ray, and it does hardly any damage because Goo Man's bullshit power works on magic too. It works on magic too? Sure, why not? And Angel sneak attacks Ant-Man, and he's badly hurt now, so after he does his damage again, he uses his 5-foot step to drop off the building. But that leaves him prone on the ground, and Little One's like, if I drop down, can I still mountain hammer him? Sure, why not?
Then I like charging mountain hammer straight down.
And that's the end of Ant-Man. And Black and Daggerface have been beating down the mutated goons, but Black is starting to hold back a bit because whatever happened to them, it was clearly beyond their control.
Die, monsters! They might turn back when we kill the real monsters.
Really?
How would I know?
although that hope became a lot fainter when the rogue Formian died, and that didn't turn the villagers back to normal. Without his partner, the Goo-Man takes clumsy flight once more, house-hopping large distances to try and escape. So Black casts Lesser Holy Transformation, giving him flight and some bonuses, but mostly flight. And he's now slightly faster than the enemy, and he and Draven pursue and keep hitting it until it eventually dies. And it turns out it counts as an abomination, and its big gross eyeball is a true Eldritch Eye, the material component for the teleport spell in this setting. Unfortunately, the thugs do not revert to human form, and they have to be put down. But other than the Eldritch Eye, there was no real loot and no evidence of where to go next, until one of the women of the village emerged from her house. She had seen the transformation of the men, and was afraid that her husband may have undergone the same ritual as those poor souls. And when the party promised to at least try to save the men of this village and their tragically messed up warbond cell, she revealed that one house was actually a secret entrance to an underground space. And with the woman's eyewitness account, they convinced all the warbond guys down there not to oppose them, since they didn't know if getting aggressive would cause them to hulk out like those other guys. And those guys said if they follow the tunnel to the end, they'll find the place where they underwent the ritual. The end guy said he gave you that power. Who is he talking about? And they're like,
The Tiger Lord.
Tiger Lord?
What, like a Rakshasa?
Do our characters know anything about Rakshasas? And Angel has heard of them, like they're cat-like humanoids that exist in the Feywild, which she knows because gnomes like her also originate in the Feywild. And Rakshasas have a pretty bad reputation, but she doesn't have the knowledge skills to remember any more than that. So they go down to the tunnel, which is huge! It's almost 20 feet in diameter, and it's so long, they keep horses down there. In fact, as they ride on, it's so long, it has full-on rest sites off the main tunnel with access to water. There's one every 30 miles or so, which is about a full day's ride.
How far does it go?
How did they build this thing? The amount of manpower it would take. Are we there yet? Periodically they hear a resonating, repetitive noise coming from the other end of the tunnel. The villagers had told them to travel east in order to find the ones responsible for all this, but it sounded like something unnatural was still digging in the other direction, towards the peace bond. It takes 4 days of riding, 8 hours on, 8 hours off, to reach the end of the tunnel, which for the last 2 days had been sloping down so steeply they must be several miles underground by the time they reached the rough wooden doors at the end. Digging out their map of Larrick, they calculate that they must be somewhere under the ancient city of Eloia. We went under the lake?
Aye, we're deep enough, and this rock is stable enough that it might be safe.
Eloia is a large city on an island, the only structures left behind by the ancient Adar people when they disappeared. Although boat tours run around it in the summer, showing off its otherworldly elegance, the Psionic College of Larrick controls and researches the potentially dangerous city, and setting foot on the island is strictly prohibited, and immediately detected by their wards. It's unlikely that the actual city extends miles underground, but there's obviously something here. There's another branch to the tunnel, but it has been totally collapsed. More interestingly, there's a crack at the bottom of the south wall that they could fit through. It leads into a room where the floor is 15 feet below. In the corner lies a stone chest, but in front of the chest is a big-ass golem made of quartz. Treasure! Yes, it's probably treasure, but it's definitely a golem. That thing is big. I want to fight it.
I don't know.
We can always come back to the treasure later. We don't want to alert them to our presence. But there's another door out of that room. We could smash the golem, then go through and come at them from an unexpected angle. Or we could leave the golem for later, and still sneak through the less obvious avenue of approach. That seems like the best plan, so they try that. Unfortunately, as soon as one of them touches the floor of the room, the golem kicks into action. Well, that's what you get for touching the floor.
As opposed to what? Oh.
Oh, darn. We have to fight it. And it's pretty obnoxious because it can cast Dispel Magic as a swift action every round, while also being totally immune to magic, hitting reliably and hard, and having a high armor class. Though I did let them know that most golems in my setting are not immune to magic. I will normally replace that trait with spell resistance, which makes them strong against magic, but it's not as ridiculous as every golem being immune. It just so happens that this is a Scion killer golem, so being immune is key to its function. Anyway, they do defeat it, which kicks off a discussion of the market value of a ton of quartz. but they feel pressured to move on, so Angel carefully opens the chest, even more carefully when she finds it unlocked, and Draven spends 5 minutes quickly identifying the loot. 1 scroll of Restoration, a spell used mainly to restore damaged ability scores, 2 shards of Dimensional Anchor, shards being the psionic version of scrolls, something which Draven could activate via his high Use Magic Device skill, 2 daggers of Dimensional Anchor, single-use daggers which, if they hit with a melee or ranged attack, would apply the spell, 2 blank masks, one-use magic items which, when activated and worn, grant 12-hour immunity to mind-affecting abilities, similar to that function of the spell Mind Blank, and a +1 Banishing Longsword, a weapon which, 3 times per day, can attempt to banish a struck creature back to its home plane unless the target succeeds a DC 20 will save.
What a jet. DC 20 will save? That doesn't seem all that great.
Those masks are very powerful, though situational.
What was all this junk for?
And why have a crazy Dispel Magic golem guarding it?
And those are all good questions. But as Angel scouts ahead a little ways, she hears a strange chanting from down the corridor. She couldn't understand it, but as a native of the Feywild, she knew immediately that it was of Fey origin.
Zagato Vinkimro, Kagamaga Refodro, Olduri Amagano, Mistari Abatro.
And whatever that is, it sounds like something magical, something they should stop. Next time on Tales from My D&D Campaign.
Zagato Vinkimro, Kagamaga Refodro, Olduri Amagano, Mistari Abatro.
The outside group will be upon me any moment now.
According to your fate matrix, you will almost certainly be destroyed in a direct confrontation with them,
While inflicting a mere 1.5 casualties in return.
That is unacceptable. I agree, of course.